The piercing honks of traffic blended with the pouring rain. Anna lay in a pool of blood, her consciousness gradually fading. Through the white sheet of rain, she saw Carter, the man she had loved for 15 years, holding an umbrella and wrapping his arm around the waist of her best friend, Diana. What do we do now? What if she isn't dead yet? Diana's voice trembled, but Anna could hear her unconcealable excitement. Carter replied coldly, "Don't worry. I already checked. She's not breathing. I arranged that truck, and the driver is long gone. By the time the police arrive, this will just be a simple traffic accident. All of the Lambert family's assets will be ours." So that was it. This accident wasn't a mishap at all. When her father's company stock had plummeted, Carter told her he had a way to save it. All she had to do was transfer all her shares to him as a sign of trust. She had agreed without a moment of hesitation. She remembered vividly the moment she handed him the transfer agreement. He had hugged her and said, "Anna, thank you for trusting me. Once everything is settled, we'll get married." It turned out her trust had only bought her a deadly trap. Blood continued to pour from her body, and her breathing grew weaker by the second. Was she really going to die? Her heart was filled with intense resentment and an unwillingness to accept this fate. Right at that moment, a black Maybach sped wildly toward her and slammed on the brakes. A tall figure dashed out of the car. He didn't even bother grabbing an umbrella as he ran toward her. Soaking wet in the rain was Lucas, man she had always despised, the one she considered a psycho stalker. He dropped to his knees beside her. His normally steady hands were now trembling uncontrollably as he reached out to touch her. His voice was hoarse, laced with absolute terror. "Anna Lambert, please don't scare me." He screamed at his driver, "Call 911. Call 911 right now," but his eyes never left her. She wanted to say something, but her throat only let out faint, choking sounds as fresh blood spilled out. Seeing Luke appear, Carter and Diana panicked, hurriedly getting into their car and fleeing the scene. Luke carefully gathered her into his arms, his expensive suit jacket soaking up her blood. He kept speaking into her ear. "Anna, don't sleep. I won't allow you to fall asleep. We're going to the hospital right now. You're going to be okay." The warmth from his body transferred to hers, chasing away the freezing chill of the rain. She forced her eyes wide open to look at his handsome face, which was now pale with dread. She recalled the words Diana had once told her. "Anna, Luke is a creep. Look at him. He's always staring at you. He definitely has bad intentions. You need to stay away from him." She also remembered how Carter had warned her. "That guy Luke is no good. Don't let him fool you." Because of that, she had always kept her distance from Luke. When he gave her flowers, she threw them away. When he asked her out to dinner, she refused. When he said he liked her, she called him a psycho. At her own birthday party, just to please Carter, she had even thrown an entire glass of red wine in Luke's face in front of everyone. Yet now, the only person by her side as she lay dying was this very man she had hated so bitterly. His scalding tears fell onto her face. He bowed his head and kissed her forehead, his voice choked with absolute despair. "Anna Lambert, if you die, I will make this whole world burn with you." Hey guys, have you ever been betrayed by those you trusted most? Sometimes sweet words blind us to the truth. Let's watch how Anna exposes the lies and fiercely takes back her life. In the final moments of her life, she felt a sudden, overwhelming wave of regret. If there was a next life, she promised she would make it up to Luke. "Anna, what are you spacing out for? Come over here. Carter is waiting for you to cut the birthday cake." A familiar voice violently snapped her back to reality. Anna looked around in a daze. The crystal chandeliers were dazzling, the music was melodious, and the people were dressed in elegant attire. This was her 20th birthday party. She looked down at the champagne-colored evening gown she was wearing, then at the glass of red wine in her hand. Memories flooded back. It was right here, in this exact dress, that she had thrown this very glass of wine in Luke's face. Seeing that she wasn't moving, Diana pulled her arm and urged in a low voice, "Why aren't you heading over there? Carter is losing his patience. You have to invite him for the first dance later." Anna glanced toward Carter. He was standing in the middle of the crowd, a clear look of displeasure on his face. In her previous life, terrified of angering him, she had rushed over. Then, provoked by a single remark from him, she had done that stupid thing. But now, she pulled her hand out of Diana's grasp and swept her gaze around the party. Very quickly, she found him. In a secluded corner that few paid attention to, Luke was sitting all by himself. He was wearing a meticulously tailored suit that accentuated his broad shoulders and narrow waist. Under the lights, his face was sharp and angular, with a high, straight nose bridge and thin lips that were pressed slightly together. He just sat there quietly, but the regal aura exuding from him made it impossible for anyone to look down on him. His eyes, however, were glued to her, holding a deep affection that she had foolishly failed to notice in her previous life. Seeing her looking back, he looked a bit flustered, and hurriedly turned away. Her heart suddenly ached. "Silly Luke, what are you so afraid of?" Without a moment of hesitation, she lifted her skirt and walked straight toward him. Everyone was stunned. Diana called out to her from behind, "Anna, where are you going?" Carter also furrowed his brows as he watched her. Ignoring everything, under the astonished gazes of the crowd, she walked right up to Luke. He looked up, his deep, dark eyes staring at her in disbelief. She placed the wine glass in her hand on a table, then reached out her hand toward him with a radiant smile. "Luke, may I have this dance with you?" The entire ballroom instantly fell completely silent. All eyes were fixed on them with shock, curiosity, and mockery. Anna Lambert, the girl who had always treated Luke like the plague, was actively inviting him to dance at her own birthday party today? What on earth was going on? Luke was stunned. His pitch-black eyes flickered with suspicion and confusion. He didn't move an inch, only staring intently at her, as if trying to pierce through her soul to see what she was plotting. But she knew he didn't believe it because she had hurt him too much in her previous life. She didn't say another word. She directly grabbed his hand that was resting on his knee. His hand was slightly cold, his long, slender fingers trembled softly in her palm. She pulled him up to his feet. He was much taller than her. She had to tilt her head up just to look him straight in the eyes. "The music is about to start," she smiled, giving him the most genuine smile she had across 2 lifetimes. Luke remained silent, but he didn't pull his hand away, allowing her to lead him to the center of the dance floor. Right at this moment, Carter and Diana finally reacted. They hurriedly squeezed through the crowd and blocked her path. "Anna, are you crazy?" Carter's face looked incredibly grim. He glared at her hand, which was tightly holding on to Luke's. "Let go of him right now. Have you forgotten what kind of person he is?" Diana also feigned worry as she pulled on Anna's arm. "That's right, Anna, don't do something crazy. Everyone is watching. Come over here with us right now. Don't let this creep fool you." "Creep?" Anna curled her lips into a cold smirk. She gently slipped her arm out of Diana's grip. Then she turned to look straight at Carter. "Carter, what right do you have to speak to me in that tone?" Carter froze. "Anna, what are you talking about? I'm your boyfriend." "Boyfriend?" Anna burst out laughing as if she had just heard the funniest joke in the world. "I don't recall ever accepting your confession. All this time, hasn't it just been you unilaterally claiming that title, while Diana added fuel to the fire on the sidelines to make everyone misunderstand?" Carter and Diana's faces simultaneously turned pale. "Anna, how could you say that?" Diana stammered, her teary eyes looking incredibly pitiful. I just wanted what was best for you." "Best for me?" Anna took a step forward, leaned in close to her ear, and spoke at a volume only the 2 of them could hear. "Best for me? Or best for you? So that you could openly and rightfully stand beside your best friend's boyfriend?" Diana's body stiffened, and she looked at Anna in panic. Ignoring her, Anna turned back to Carter, her voice ice cold. "And you, Carter, you call Luke a creep. So what should we call a man who constantly claims to love me, but behind my back is secretly messing around with my best friend and even coveting my family's wealth? A scumbag?" She didn't say these words too loudly, but they were loud enough for the people around them to hear clearly. Whispers and gossip immediately broke out. Carter was trembling with anger. "Anna Lambert, don't you dare slander me. Whether I'm slandering you or not, you know best in your own heart," she retorted coldly. "Today is my birthday party. Who I want to dance with is my right. You have no right to interfere." After saying that, she didn't bother looking at Carter again and turned to Luke. He had been standing there silently from start to finish, but the way he looked at her had changed. The initial suspicion had gradually faded, replaced by an indescribable gleam in his eyes. She placed her hand in his palm and her other hand on his shoulder. "Shall we begin?" Luke gave a slight nod. He placed one hand on her waist and held her hand with the other. A melodious waltz began to play. He guided her through every step of the dance. Her waist was enveloped by his large hand, the transferring warmth making her heart flutter. They twirled in the middle of the dance floor, her dress flying out like a blooming flower all around them. Carter and Diana stood rooted to the spot, their faces ashen. She looked up at him, her eyes holding only his reflection. "Why did you, today?" It was a long while before Luke finally spoke, his voice slightly hoarse. "Because I realized I was too stupid before," she interrupted him, looking straight into his eyes. "I missed out on the best person." Luke's body visibly stiffened. He tightened his grip on her waist, pulling her flush against him. The distance was so close that she could feel his powerful heartbeat. "Are your words true?" he asked again, his voice hiding a sense of anticipation, mixed with the fear of getting hurt. "They are all true," she replied firmly. As the music ended, Luke didn't let go of her at all. Holding her hand, he pulled her straight out of the banquet hall, leaving behind a mess of chaos and bewildered stares. He pulled her into a deserted hallway. The dim yellow light shone on his face. Suddenly, he pinned her against the wall, his hands pressing against it on either side of her, trapping her between him and the cold surface. He lowered his head, his deep dark eyes locked onto her. His burning breath brushed against her face. Anna Lambert. His voice was low, incredibly mesmerizing but also exceedingly dangerous. What kind of trick are you trying to pull? Luke's scorching breath fanned across her face. The distance between them was so close that if she just stood on her tiptoes, their lips would touch. Facing his dangerous, scrutinizing gaze, she didn't flinch. On the contrary, she smiled. What kind of trick? She reached out, her long, slender fingers gently touching his firm chest, right over his wildly beating heart. Luke, I want to pursue you. The words were clear and decisive. Luke's pupils contracted, astonishment clearly written on his always calm face. He looked at her as if she were some strange creature. Pursue me? He let out a scoffing laugh, laden with mockery and unconcealable pain. Anna Lambert, have you thought of a new trick to torture me? What is it this time? Pretending to pursue me, only to dump me in front of everyone just for Carter's amusement? Her heart ached. It turned out the wounds she had inflicted on him in the past were truly this deep. She didn't explain, only looking at him quietly. Her eyes no longer held the disgust or fear from before, replaced only by sincerity and a hint of guilt. Luke, I'm sorry. Luke was stunned once again. He had probably imagined countless reactions from her, but definitely not these words. In his memory, how could the arrogant Anna Lambert ever apologize? Seeing him remain silent, she continued. For all the stupid things I did to you before, I'm sorry. The guardedness in Luke's eyes seemed to lessen a bit, but the suspicion was still there. Why? He wanted a logical reason for her 180-degree change. She couldn't exactly say that she had come back from the dead. Because I got struck by lightning, she replied nonchalantly. Luke was utterly speechless. Seeing his loss for words, she explained seriously. I'm not joking. It rained heavily a few days ago, and I was almost struck by lightning. In that moment of facing death, I suddenly figured out a lot of things. I realized who is truly genuine with me, and who is just a hypocrite. This excuse sounded absurd, but it was the most plausible explanation she could come up with right now. Wasn't dying and coming back to life basically like being enlightened by a lightning strike anyway? Luke narrowed his eyes, evaluating every expression on her face. He was a smart man. Naturally, he wouldn't easily believe this story. So, a single lightning bolt made miss. Lambert, who has hated me for 15 years, suddenly see the light? His voice still carried a sarcastic chuckle. That's right, she nodded firmly. It helped me realize that Carter is a scumbag, Diana is a two-faced snake, and you... She paused for a moment, stood on her tiptoes, and leaned close to his ear, using a voice that was both seductive and sincere. Are the treasure I missed out on. His breath hitched, and the tips of his ears turned suspiciously red. Well. It turned out the domineering and cold Luke also knew how to be shy. Just as the atmosphere between them was becoming dangerously ambiguous, a stern voice rang out from the end of the hallway. Anna. It was her father, William. She and Luke both turned their heads at the same time. Her father was standing there, and right next to him was her mother. Both of their expressions were somewhat complicated. They must have heard the shocking news from inside the banquet hall. Luke immediately let go of her, taking a step back to maintain a polite distance. He restored his usual cold demeanor and gave a slight nod to her parents. Mr. Lambert, Mrs. Lambert. Her father didn't reply to him. His sharp gaze looked straight at her. What was that about in the banquet hall? You and Carter. Dad, there has never been anything between Carter and me, she interrupted her father. Before, I wasn't clear enough, which led to everyone misunderstanding. From now on, I have absolutely no relationship with him. Then, she turned to, and naturally hooked her arm through Luke's. He is the one I love. Luke's arm visibly stiffened, but he didn't push her away. Both her mother and father were astonished by her actions. Her mother was about to say something, but her father raised his hand to stop her. He looked Luke up and down, his eyes like those of a seasoned businessman evaluating a potential partner. After a long while, he slowly said, Luke, I've heard your name for a long time. The Sterling family truly has an outstanding heir. These words were clearly meant as a compliment. Luke replied modestly, Mr. Lambert, you flatter me. I don't care about the affairs of you young people, her father continued, but Anna is my only daughter. Anyone who wants to be by her side must prove their sincerity. After her parents left, only the two of them remained in the hallway. The atmosphere became strangely quiet. It seems your play this time has been meticulously produced. Luke finally spoke after a long time. his voice devoid of any discernible emotion. She felt a pang of hurt and defeat. He still didn't believe her. "It's not a play," she said, looking straight into his eyes. "Luke, I'll say it one more time. I want to pursue you. You can choose not to believe me, and you can observe me, but don't even think about running away." As soon as she finished speaking, she did something even she hadn't anticipated. She quickly stood on her tiptoes and placed a light kiss on the corner of his lips. It was as brief as a dragonfly skimming the water, but it was enough for both of them to feel the soft warmth. Luke was completely petrified. She stepped back and looked at his dazed face, her mood incredibly good. "This is just the interest. Good night." After saying that, she turned around, lifted her dress, and gracefully walked away, leaving Luke still standing stunned in the hallway. Luke, in this life, don't even dream of escaping my grasp. The next morning, she was awakened by the loud ringing of her phone. On the screen, the names Carter and Dearest Diana flashed alternately. She swiped through and saw dozens of missed calls and a flood of messages cursing at her, asking questions, and pretending to care. She decisively turned off her phone, her mood completely unaffected. In her previous life, she would panic in fear if Carter even slightly furrowed his brows. Now, seeing his name just made her want to toss the phone straight into the trash. After last night, Carter and Diana were definitely sitting on pins and needles. The news that Miss Lambert had publicly dumped Carter to pursue Luke must have already spread throughout high society. For two people who always valued their reputation as much as they did, this was no different from a resounding slap across the face. But she didn't have the time to savor their anger. If she wanted Luke to believe her, mere words weren't enough. She needed action. Thinking this, she jumped out of bed, picked out a pristine white dress that was simultaneously elegant and sharp, and drove herself straight to Sterling Corporation. Sterling Corporation was the top conglomerate in the country, its towering headquarters standing majestically. As soon as she walked into the lobby, she immediately attracted everyone's attention. The receptionist's face paled upon seeing her, and she hurriedly ran out to block her way. "Miss Lambert, may I ask if you have an appointment?" Her attitude was a bit stiff, which made sense. The last time Anna came here was to scream at Luke, and she had almost broken an antique vase in the lobby. She was probably already on the entire corporation's blacklist. "I'm here to see Luke." She smiled amicably. "I'm sorry. Mr. Sterling is in a meeting and it's not convenient for him to see guests," the receptionist replied by the book. "No worries. I can wait," she said nonchalantly, then walked straight to the guest sofa area and sat down leisurely. This was definitely an excuse Luke had arranged because he deliberately didn't want to see her. He was still keeping his guard up against her. So infuriating. Well then, she would just have to make him personally invite her upstairs so she could vent her frustration. Anna took out her phone and dialed a number. Very quickly, someone on the other end picked up. "Hello, is this the Star Press? I have some breaking news." The young lady of the Lambert family is voluntarily waiting all day in the lobby just to pursue the CEO of Sterling Corporation, yet she's being blocked from going up. Do you think this headline is hot enough? After speaking, she glanced at the pale receptionist and hung up the phone. Less than 3 minutes later, Luke's special assistant, Evan, rushed out of the private elevator. "Miss Lambert, Mr. Sterling invites you upstairs," Evan said respectfully, wiping the cold sweat from his forehead. She smiled triumphantly, stood up, and followed him. Luke's office was located on the highest floor. The entire space was designed in a minimalist black and white color scheme, exuding a cold aura exactly like its owner. Luke was sitting behind his desk, his head bowed as he reviewed some documents. He was still wearing the same suit from yesterday. Perhaps he had stayed at the company all night. Hearing her footsteps, he didn't even look up. "Anna Lambert, what trick are you trying to pull now?" His voice was as cold as ice. She didn't answer. Walking straight to his desk, she placed the thermos she had brought onto it. "I brought you breakfast. It's seafood congee that I specially cooked myself." Only then did Luke look up. His gaze swept over the thermos and then stopped on her face, still holding that cold, scrutinizing look. "I don't need it. Not eating breakfast will ruin your stomach," she remained patient. "Or do you want me to feed it to you?" Luke was utterly speechless. He furrowed his brows, clearly trying to suppress his anger. Seeing that he had no intention of touching the food, she didn't force him. She pulled out a chair and sat opposite him. "All right, I admit it. Besides bringing you breakfast, I came here for another reason." "Speak," he spat out a single word. "I came to warn you," she said seriously. "Be careful of Carter." Luke curled his lips, his eyes full of mockery. "Are you speaking up for your ex-lover?" "Ex-lover?" she sneered. "He doesn't deserve the title. I'm being serious. My family's company stock has been having constant issues lately. I suspect Carter is playing tricks behind the scenes. His goal is probably to take over Lambert Corporation. In her previous life, she had foolishly believed his words, handing the entire company over to him, which ultimately led to her own death. In this life, she absolutely would not let that tragedy repeat itself. And you think telling me all this will make me believe you? Luke remained entirely unfazed. I don't need you to believe me immediately. I just want to remind you. As far as I know, Carter's family has been getting very close to the Kingston family, lately Sterling Corporation's biggest competitor. If Carter manages to swallow up Lambert Corporation, his power will significantly increase. When that time comes, my family won't be the only one in trouble. She analyzed the pros and cons with utmost clarity. Luke was a businessman. He certainly understood that her words were not unfounded. Sure enough, his expression changed slightly. Right at that moment, the office door was suddenly pushed open with force. Carter stormed in, his face dark with rage, followed closely by Diana, whose eyes were rimmed red. "Anna!" "I knew you were here!" Carter roared, his glare looking as if he wanted to eat Luke alive. "Did he threaten you? Don't be afraid. I'm here now." After saying that, he even tried to lunge forward and grab her. She quickly stood up and, without a moment of hesitation, stepped right in front of Luke to shield him. This action not only stunned Carter, but even Luke, who was sitting behind her, froze in surprise. "Carter." She looked straight at him, her voice chilling to the bone. "Who gave you permission to barge in here? This is Sterling Corporation, not a place for you to act wildly." "Anna, you." Carter was in disbelief. "Not anymore," she cut him off. "My business does not need your interference. The person I want to be with, the person I want to protect is Luke. Did you hear me clearly?" Every single word she spoke was incredibly clear, echoing throughout the office. Carter's face twisted into an ugly grimace, while Luke, sitting right behind her, seemed to waver slightly. He glared at Anna, then looked at Luke, who was sitting leisurely behind her. The anger in his eyes was almost bursting into flames. "Anna Lambert, say that one more time," Carter demanded. "Are you deaf?" She retorted without any hesitation. "Then let me spell it out to get it through your thick skull. The person I like is Luke. The person I want to protect is also Luke. As for you, Carter, get out of my sight, as far away as possible." At this moment, Diana, who had been blending into the background all this time, suddenly rushed forward, her eyes brimming with tears. "Anna, how could you speak to Carter like that?" she said while crying, looking incredibly pitiful. "We are best friends. If something happened, you should tell me. Did Luke use some dirty trick to force you? Don't be afraid, we are here now. We will protect you." Oh, the two-faced snake's act has begun. Pretending to care about her while secretly slandering Luke, and at the same time showing a united front, with Carter killing 3 birds with 1 stone. What a masterstroke. If it were the Anna from her previous life, she probably would have been moved into a blubbering mess, then joined forces with them to point fingers at Luke. But unfortunately, the present Anna had already seen through her true colors. She let out a cold laugh, her gaze sweeping over Diana's tear-stained face like a sharp knife. "Diana, are you done acting?" Diana froze, her sobs choking in her throat. "Anna, well, what are you talking about?" I said, tone down the acting. "I'm getting tired of watching it." Anna crossed her arms over her chest and smirked. "Best friends? Would a best friend secretly fool around with her friend's boyfriend behind her back? Would a best friend constantly badmouth others in front of her friend, while being jealous of everything her friend has? Diana, ask yourself, do you even deserve those 2 words, best friend?" Diana's face turned as white as a sheet. She stammered, I didn't." "Didn't you?" Anna's laugh became even more sarcastic. "Then where did the limited edition bracelet Carter gave you last month come from? That night he said he was going on a business trip, but he was actually at the movies with you. How do you explain that? Or should I call a few paparazzi and ask how many intimate photos of you two they have in their cameras?" With every sentence she spoke, Carter and Diana's expressions became increasingly uglier. They never expected that she would know they're sneaking around like the back of her hand. Carter was so angry that his face and ears turned purple. Unable to argue back at her, he vented all his rage onto Luke. "Luke, you definitely fed her some nonsense, you despicable bastard." After shouting, he raised his fist, about to lunge toward the desk. Right at that moment, something completely unexpected happened. Luke, who had remained silently sitting behind her from the very beginning, suddenly stood up. He was tall, his presence overbearing. He quietly took a single step, blocking her from the front and completely shielding her behind his back. This single action carried more weight than 10,000 words. He looked at Carter coldly, his eyes as sharp as an eagle's. His voice was low but filled with absolute authority. "Get out." It was just 2 short words, but the intimidating aura radiating from him made both Carter and Diana shudder involuntarily. Carter ground his teeth, but facing Luke, he didn't dare to do anything. He could only glare at Anna with deep resentment, then pulled the still dazed Diana along as they stumbled away in disgrace. The office door slammed shut. The commotion vanished, leaving only silence and a faint scent of gunpowder lingering in the air. Standing behind Luke, Anna looked at his broad, sturdy back, an unprecedented feeling of warmth welling up in her heart. Was he just protecting her? She was about to speak when Luke suddenly turned around. He lowered his head to look at her from a very close distance. His deep, dark eyes locked onto her, holding complex emotions that she couldn't read. "Anna Lambert," he spoke up, his voice having recovered its usual coldness. "You're really good at acting. Is there not a single shred of my trust in you? Or, I really am pathetic." "I'm not acting." "Is that so?" he sneered. "Exposing your best friend? Confronting your ex-lover all just to play a tragic act for me to see? Do you think I'll believe that?" Even though his words were harsh, she noticed that the guardedness in his eyes had decreased significantly. He was merely using a tough exterior to hide the turbulent emotions within his heart. No, she didn't argue with him. She simply turned back to the desk and opened the thermos of congee that was starting to cool down. "I don't need you to believe me." She scooped a spoonful of congee and brought it to his lips. "I just need you to know that from now on, I won't let anyone bully you, not even myself." Luke's gaze flickered slightly. He looked at the spoonful of congee in front of him, then back at her, but for a moment, she caught sight of the exhaustion and loneliness hidden deep within his eyes. She patiently held out the spoonful of congee like that. Finally, under her fixed gaze, Luke slowly lowered his head and ate it. The moment Luke ate that spoonful of congee, the air in the office seemed to freeze. He ate very slowly, as if savoring a rare delicacy, or perhaps trying to analyze whether there was poison in the congee. After swallowing, he didn't say a word, simply taking the thermos and spoon quietly from her hand. Then, he ate the rest himself, until not a single drop was left. This action of his was worth more than any promise. The iceberg in his heart had finally truly melted away just a little bit. Watching him eat, she felt a mix of joy and heartache. The high and mighty Luke was now sitting here, eating a thermos of congee she had brought, filled with suspicion. In her past life, she had owed him far too much. After finishing, he set the empty container down on the desk and looked up at her. The coldness had faded a lot, replaced by a deep, probing look. "Tell me, what's your real motive?" He still believed she was doing all this with an ulterior motive. "That's right. I want to cooperate with you." She cut straight to the point. Luke raised an eyebrow, signaling her to continue. "As I said before, Carter is targeting Lambert Corporation. With my family's strength alone, it'll probably be hard to hold out. But if Sterling Corporation helps, things will be different." She looked straight into his eyes. "The enemy of my enemy is a friend. Carter and the Kingston family are teaming up. Their target isn't just Lambert Corporation, but Sterling Corporation as well. Our cooperation is mutually beneficial." She deliberately spoke only of business interests, not touching upon romantic feelings at all. Dealing with someone as suspicious as Luke, this was the most effective approach. He fell into deep thought for a moment, his long, slender fingers tapping lightly against the desk. He was evaluating the feasibility of her proposal. "That is a persuasive reason," he finally spoke up. "But why should I choose you? Lambert Corporation is a mess right now. What does Sterling Corporation stand to gain by cooperating with you?" A sharp question, true to Luke's character. "You'll get me," she smiled, a smile full of confidence and a hint of teasing. Luke was stunned. "What do you mean?" She hurriedly explained when she saw his expression change slightly. "You'll get an ally, which is me. I might not be as good at business as you, but I understand Carter and Diana better than anyone. I know their weaknesses and how they operate. I will be your trump card." The atmosphere fell into silence once again. Luke stared intently at her, his deep eyes looking as if they wanted to suck her very soul into them. Right at that moment, her phone suddenly buzzed violently. It was her dad calling. She had a bad premonition. "Hello, Dad. Anna, where are you? Come home immediately. Something terrible has happened." Her father's voice on the other end of the line was extremely angry and anxious, but before she could ask anything else, he hung up. At the same time, Luke's phone also rang. It was his assistant, Evan, calling. As Luke answered the call, his expression gradually turned icy. He just uttered a few agreements and hung up. Then, he looked at her with a complex gaze. "It seems our opponents have already made their move." He turned his computer monitor toward her. On the screen was a series of shocking news headlines that had just been released a few minutes ago. "Shocking, miss. Lambert goes mad after broken engagement, causes a scene at Sterling Corporation, forcing the CEO to take responsibility. Evidence shows Anna Lambert has mental issues, frequently stalks and harasses Luke Sterling. Suspicion. Sterling Corporation uses oppressive tactics, forcing Lambert Corporation to offer their daughter as an exchange. Below the headlines were secretly taken photos. There was a picture of her sitting alone in the Sterling Corporation lobby, looking lonely and pitiful. There was one of her standing in front of Luke, confronting Carter, looking like a lunatic, picking a fight. There was even a photo of Luke pinning her against the wall in the hallway last night, but the tricky angle made it look like he was forcing himself on her. Accompanying the articles were countless malicious comments, ruthlessly cursing at her. Carter and Diana had indeed struck a vicious blow. They didn't just want to ruin her reputation, they also wanted to drag Sterling Corporation into this muddy water. She felt an icy anger welling up inside her. "Great move," she sneered. "Turning me into a love-crazed lunatic, and turning you into an opportunist taking advantage of a crisis. This washes Carter's image completely clean, while making both Sterling Corporation and Lambert Corporation the laughingstock of the public." Luke said nothing, quietly observing her reaction. Perhaps he wanted to see what she would do in this situation. She took a deep breath, forcing herself to calm down. Panicking wouldn't solve anything. She had to fight back. She grabbed her phone, opened her contacts, and found a number she hadn't called in a very long time. "Hello, Uncle Mark. It's me, Anna." Uncle Mark was a veteran paparazzo in the industry. In her previous life, he had helped her gather quite a bit of evidence of Carter's infidelity, but at that time, she had foolishly refused to believe it. "Anna? Miss Lambert? Why are you calling me?" "I want to buy some photos. Dating photos of Carter and Diana. I want the clearest, most intimate ones. Price is not an issue." She spoke quickly. "About this, Mr. Carter already told me. I'll pay triple." She cut him off. The other end of the line was silent for a few seconds before a crisp "deal" rang out. He hung up. She looked up, meeting Luke's slightly astonished gaze. "Do you think you can turn the tables just by relying on a few photos?" he asked. "Of course not," she smirked. "This is just the introduction. There's still the body and the conclusion." She stood up, walked over to him, and extended her hand. "Mr. Sterling, have you seen my sincerity and capability now? Is my earlier proposal for cooperation still valid?" In her eyes, there was no longer any panic, only a burning will to fight. Luke looked at her outstretched hand, then into her eyes. After a long while, he stood up as well. He didn't shake her hand. Instead, he pulled her into his arms, lowered his head, and planted a kiss on her lips. It wasn't a fleeting kiss like yesterday, but a deep kiss filled with domineering possessiveness and a newly ignited spark. Luke's kiss was domineering, allowing for no resistance. He wasn't just kissing her. It was as if he wanted to swallow her soul whole, pouring all of his long-suppressed emotions into this single action, the anger, the helplessness, the weight Julia said, and a trace of frantic possessiveness. From her initial shock, she gradually sank into it. Instead of pushing him away, she wrapped her arms around his neck and clumsily responded. This was the man who had loved her for 2 lifetimes. What was a mere kiss? It wasn't until both of them were nearly out of breath that he reluctantly released her lips. "Anna Lambert." His voice was incredibly hoarse, carrying an undeniable command. "From now on, you are mine." "I agree," she smiled, her smile as radiant as the sun after the rain. "Luke, from now on, you are mine too." The last bit of guardedness in his eyes seemed to completely vanish after those words. He let out a low, joyful chuckle, making his entire cold face seem to light up. He pulled her down to sit on the sofa, but still didn't let go of her hand. "Tell me, my trump card, what is the main course you've prepared?" He had completely stepped into his role as her ally. "Uncle Mark will send the photos over right away," she said. "I plan to release them all online, so everyone can clearly see the true colors of that scumbag and that two-faced snake." "Not enough." Luke shook his head, his eyes flashing with the sharpness of a seasoned fox in the business world. "Just releasing photos will only create noise for a while before dying down. They might even turn the tables and claim that you are framing them out of spite because of the broken engagement. We have to tell a story." She immediately understood. "You mean, I need to build a new image for you." He held her hand, his long, slender fingers tapping lightly against the back of it. "A young lady who has been deceived by her boyfriend and best friend for a long time. Out of extreme heartbreak, she acts out of control. But ultimately, she bravely awakens, decides to sever ties with the past, and starts a new life. That way, all of your actions from last night until now will become perfectly reasonable." She couldn't help but look at him in astonishment. Too ruthless, too profound. He didn't just want to clear her name. He wanted to turn her into a pitiful victim, monopolizing the public's sympathy. At the same time, her act of publicly pursuing him would be interpreted as seeking a safe haven after being deeply hurt. This way, both she and he would remain completely clean, while Carter and Diana would be nailed to the pillar of shame. So, where should we begin? She was completely convinced by his plan. "Let me handle it." He took out his phone and dialed a number. Hello, marketing department? I need you to contact the blogger, Showbiz Gossip, immediately. Prepare an article. Yes, just follow the script I give you. While Luke was arranging everything perfectly, her phone vibrated. It was a message from Uncle Mark, accompanied by a series of ultra-high-resolution photos. In the photos, Carter and Diana were kissing passionately in a parking lot. There were pictures of the two of them, walking intimately arm-in-arm into a luxury hotel. There was even a photo of Carter wearing an apron, cooking in Diana's private apartment, ironclad evidence. Without a moment of hesitation, she forwarded all of them to Luke. After reviewing them, the corners of his lips curled into a cold smile. Very good. Evan, send all these photos to Showbiz Gossip's team. Tell them the article must be on the front page of every online news site within half an hour. After hanging up, he turned to look at her. Leave the external affairs to me. Right now, you should make a trip home. She understood what he meant. She had to reassure her father. I know. Leaving Sterling Corporation, she drove straight home. Luke was right, she didn't need to worry about public opinion anymore. The only thing she needed to do was resolve the battle at home. As soon as she stepped into the living room, a tablet flew straight to her feet. Look at the good deeds you've done. Her father, William, had a face flushed with anger, his hand trembling as he pointed at her. Her mother stood beside him, continuously rubbing his back with a look full of worry. She calmly picked up the tablet. The screen was still displaying the news articles smearing her. These are just some tabloid rumors, Dad, she said nonchalantly. Tabloid rumors? Her father roared. Lambert Corporation's stock nosedived the moment the market opened this morning. It's all because of your damn news. And you still have the nerve to call it tabloid rumors? Then what do you think I should do? She looked up, staring straight into his eyes. Cry, then run and beg Carter for forgiveness, so he can continue to deceive my feelings and swindle our entire company? What do you mean by that? Her father was taken aback. Exactly what it sounds like. She placed the tablet down on the table, her voice growing a few degrees colder. Did you think our company's stock plummeted for no reason? Carter is playing tricks behind the scenes. He has colluded with the Kingston family, and their goal is to annex Lambert Corporation. Furthermore, these news articles were single-handedly released by him and Diana. Their goal is to ruin my reputation and put pressure on the Lambert family. She spoke in a continuous stream without stumbling, every single word clear and logical. Her father was completely shocked by her words. He looked at her as if looking at a stranger. Anna, how do you know all this? You don't need to know how I found out. She looked at him with a resolute gaze. You just need to know that your daughter is no longer a fool blinded by love. I am currently saving our company, and the person cooperating with me is Luke. Right at that moment, her father's phone rang. He looked at the screen. It was Richard, a longtime business partner. He hesitated for a moment, then answered. Hello, Richard? William? Have you seen the latest news? Good Lord, Carter's family is in huge trouble. That boy Carter of yours is an absolute beast. Her father was stunned. He hurriedly opened another news page on the tablet, and what caught his eye was a headline 10 times more shocking. Massive exposure. Young Master Carter two-timing. Secretly dating Miss Lambert's best friend for 2 years? Undeniable evidence. Below it were all the photos she had just sent out, sharp in every detail. Her father was dumbfounded, his eyes glued to the tablet screen. The anger on his face was gradually replaced by extreme astonishment. Her mother beside him also covered her mouth and let out a soft cry. Oh my God, Carter, how could that boy? Her father stammered, unable to believe what he was seeing. Richard's phone call hadn't hung up yet, and the clamor on the other end of the line was still echoing, but her father no longer had the mind to listen. He tremblingly scrolled down to read the comments section. The netizens, who just a few minutes ago were ruthlessly cursing at her, had now done a complete 180-degree turn. Oh my God, it turns out they are a complete scumbag and a two-faced snake. Poor Miss Lambert, getting cheated on and then framed to take the fall. No wonder she acted out of control like that. Betrayed by her boyfriend and best friend at the same time, who could bear it? Carter, get out of the business world. Diana is a top-tier manipulative snake. Support Miss Lambert getting together with CEO Sterling. Only CEO Sterling is worthy of her. Luke's plan had succeeded flawlessly. In less than half an hour, she went from a love-crazed lunatic to a pitiful victim. Meanwhile, Carter and Diana were drowning in the spit of public opinion. Anna, her father looked up, his gaze incredibly complex as he looked at her. Are all these things true? That's right, Anna replied calmly to her father. The two of them have been secretly seeing each other for 2 years. If I hadn't accidentally found out, who knows how long I would have been led by the nose. She lied without blinking an eye, but in this situation, it was the most reasonable explanation. Her sharpness and composure made her parents trust her completely. Heartbroken, her mother stepped forward and hugged her. "My silly girl, why didn't you tell me sooner? You've suffered so much." "It's not too late to tell you now, Mom," she said, gently patting her mother's back to comfort her. "I'm okay." This whole thing has also helped me clearly see the true colors of a lot of people. Her father remained deep in thought for a long while before letting out a heavy sigh and picking up his phone. "Richard, I apologize. Something came up at home just now. About the collaboration we discussed last time, I agree to it." "Yes. And one more thing. Regarding Carter's family, please tell the others that from now on, Lambert Corporation is severing all business ties with them." A single sentence had sealed the fate of Carter's family in the business world. This was the absolute wrath of a father whose daughter had been bullied. After hanging up, her father looked at her, his gaze having become much gentler. "Anna, you handled this matter very well. I never expected that my daughter had truly grown up." She smiled. Her father's acknowledgement was more precious than anything else. Right at that moment, her phone vibrated. It was an unknown number. She hesitated for a moment before answering. "Great show." Luke's familiar deep voice rang out. "Isn't it all thanks to Director Sterling's excellent guidance?" she retorted. The other end of the line was silent for a few seconds, before he let out a soft chuckle. "Be careful. They won't give up that easily." "I understand," she replied. "I'm waiting for them." "Good." He added one more sentence. "Don't be afraid. I am always behind you." Then, he hung up. Just a simple sentence made her heart feel unusually warm. Luke was always like this, using his actions to prove everything. Sure enough, exactly as Luke had predicted, just an hour later, her doorbell rang. The maid came in to report, "Sir, Madam, young Master Carter and Miss Diana are here." Her father frowned and was about to refuse when she spoke up first. "Let them in." Her parents looked at her in surprise, but she just signaled for them to rest assured. A few minutes later, Carter and Diana walked in. Unlike their aggressive demeanor from the morning, both of them now looked incredibly pathetic. Their clothes were disheveled, their hair was messy, and tear streaks still stained Diana's face. As soon as they saw her parents, the two of them immediately bowed deeply. "Mr. Lambert, Mrs. Lambert, we apologize." Carter spoke up first, his voice full of remorse. "It's all my fault. I was terrible and hurt Anna. I beg you both to forgive me." Diana also sobbed. "Uncle, I was wrong. I don't know what got into me to do such a wrongful thing to Anna. I beg you, and Anna, to give us a chance to make amends." "Oh, changing tactics already? Going from offense to playing the victim?" Her father let out a cold snort and said nothing, while her mother seemed a bit hesitant. Seeing this, Carter hurriedly dropped to his knees. "Anna, I know I was wrong. I truly love you. It was Diana who seduced me. I was just momentarily confused. Can you please forgive me?" He looked up at her, his eyes looking so sincere that it was utterly disgusting. Hearing Carter dump all the blame on her head, Diana's face turned pale, but she still had to grit her teeth and continue acting. "Yes, that's right, Anna. It's all my fault. You can hit me or scold me however you want, as long as you forgive Carter." Bravo. What a touching lover's melodrama. One person taking all the blame, and the other pretending to be fully repentant. They thought doing this would soften her heart, and then she would step up to explain to the public, helping them escape this disaster. How ridiculous. Anna slowly walked up to Carter and squatted down in front of him. She reached out and gently wiped away the tear of remorse on his cheek. Carter thought she had relented. A gleam of joy flashed in his eyes. But a second later, the smile on her lips vanished, replaced by a resounding slap. Smack! The sound echoed throughout the living room. Her slap held back no force. 5 red finger marks immediately appeared on Carter's pale face, and the entire living room fell dead silent. Carter was completely petrified. Holding his cheek with one hand, he looked at her with disbelieving eyes. Diana was frozen stiff. Even Anna's parents were astonished by her drastic action. "Anna Lambert, you dare hit me?" After a long while, Carter finally gritted out the words, indignation and humiliation twisting his face. "Why wouldn't I dare?" She stood straight up, looking down at him with contemptuous eyes. "This slap is payback for my past stupidity. It's payback for your deception." She deliberately spoke vaguely, but her cold gaze made Carter involuntarily shudder. "This slap is also to wake you up," she continued, her voice as sharp as a knife. "Did you think kneeling down to apologize and putting on a cheap act would erase everything? Carter, you look down on me way too much." Carter was rendered speechless. He had probably never seen such a sharp and terrifying Anna Lambert before. "And you, Diana?" She turned to the person who was still playing the role of a stone statue. "Stop pretending to be pitiful. Did you think I didn't know that you were the one pulling the strings behind those smear campaigns against me online?" Diana jumped in fright and hurriedly waved her hands. No, it wasn't me. Anna, you misunderstand. Misunderstand? Anna sneered. The burner account Little White Rabbit that you used to spread those rumors. Do you need me to read the password out loud for you? Or the video of you and Carter going into a hotel together last night? Would you like to watch it again? In her previous life, after her death, Diana had used these very things to boast about her conquests. Little did Diana expect that now they would become irrefutable evidence to expose her true colors. Diana's face turned as white as a corpse. She trembled, unable to utter a single word. Carter also looked at Anna in astonishment. He couldn't understand how she knew about all these things. The two of you, she looked straight at them, her voice devoid of any emotion. One is a hypocrite and the other is a malicious schemer. Truly a match made in heaven. Right now, I am granting your wish to be together. After saying that, she turned to her father. Dad, I'm tired. Please see the guests out for me. Her father, who had been trying to digest everything that had just transpired, immediately caught her drift. He stood up, his face dark. Guards, see young Master Carter and Miss Diana out. From now on, the Lambert family does not welcome these two. Carter and Diana were escorted out the door by the security guards, looking incredibly wretched and humiliated. After they left, her mother worriedly stepped forward. Anna, is it okay that you did that? After all, Carter's family. Mom, don't worry. She held her mother's hand. Times have changed. Carter's family is no longer a match for us. Her confident gaze reassured her mother somewhat. That night, she received a text message from Luke. Where did you get the hotel video from? She smiled and replied, Secret. You just need to know I have my own ways. The other end of the line was silent for a long while before sending back another message. Don't do anything dangerous. A few short words, yet they were brimming with care. Her heart warmed. Got it. Thank you, Luke. In the following days, just as she had predicted, Carter's family company began to face turbulence. Under the suppression of Sterling Corporation and the boycott from business partners of the Lambert family, their stock continuously plummeted. Carter's father, David, had to run around everywhere seeking help, but was rejected at every turn. Carter and Diana became like rats crossing the street. Wherever they went, people pointed fingers and cursed at them. Anna, on the other hand, experienced the exact opposite. Her image as a resilient victim gained the sympathy of countless people, and every action of hers was praised. Someone even created a fan club for her and Luke, calling them the Luna couple. Everything seemed to be moving in the right direction that she and Luke had mapped out, but Carter wouldn't admit defeat so easily. Sure enough, a few days later, Evan called her, his voice incredibly serious. Miss Lambert, something has happened. Our crucial shipment of materials, while being transported from the port, was hijacked by a group of unidentified men. Mr. Sterling suspects it was Carter's doing. This shipment is related to a vital joint project between Sterling Corporation and a foreign partner. If not resolved properly, Sterling Corporation will have to face a massive compensation payout, but more importantly, a loss of reputation on the international market. Where is he right now? She asked immediately. Mr. Sterling is already at the scene. Send me the address. Without a moment of hesitation, she hung up the phone, rushed out of the house, and started her car. Luke, I told you, in this life, I will not let anyone bully you ever again. When she arrived, she found an abandoned warehouse in the suburbs. The police had already cordoned off the scene. Luke was standing there, his face as cold as ice, discussing something with a police officer. Seeing her approach, he furrowed his brows. Why are you here? I came to help you. She got straight to the point. Have the police found any clues? The robbers were very professional. They left no traces behind. He shook his head. I know where they are. She looked straight into his eyes and stayed in firmly. Luke froze. His gaze toward her was filled with astonishment and suspicion. The police officer standing next to him also turned to look at her with a baffled expression. Miss Lambert, please do not joke around. This is very serious. The police officer spoke up. No, I am not joking. She looked directly at Luke, her eyes resolute. I know where Carter would hide that shipment. In her previous life, after Sterling Corporation was devastated by this cargo robbery, Carter had boasted about his triumph to Diana during a drunken stupor. He detailed exactly how he had hired a gang of thugs to hijack the goods and stash them at a dilapidated, soon-to-be-demolished old dock in the Eastport. He mentioned that the area was chaotic and completely unexpected, making it the ideal location to dispose of the goods once Sterling Corporation had compensated itself into bankruptcy. She had accidentally overheard that conversation, and it became one of her most painful memories because it proved the sheer cruelty of the man she had once loved. But now, that very memory was her sharpest weapon. How do you know? Luke asked, his voice still holding a hint of doubt, but he didn't brush her off immediately, like before. You don't need to know how I know. She grabbed his hand. His palm was freezing cold. Luke, do you trust me? Luke looked deeply into her eyes. In those dark depths, a struggle was clearly visible. A few seconds later, the hesitation vanished, replaced by sheer decisiveness. He turned to the police officer. Captain Harris, please send your men to the old dock at the Eastport. I suspect our goods are there. Captain Harris hesitated for a moment, but seeing Luke's certain expression, he finally nodded and immediately mobilized his forces. Luke pulled her toward his car. Sit here. You are not going. It's too dangerous. No. I have to go with you, she refused. I want to see him fail with my own eyes. He looked at her for a moment, didn't say anything else, and stepped on the gas, speeding away. When they arrived, the police had already surrounded the entire dock area. This place was indeed desolate. The rusty warehouses lay silently in the evening twilight. The police quickly stormed into the largest warehouse. Very soon after, the sounds of fighting and gunshots rang out. Anna's heart tightened, and she unconsciously squeezed Luke's hand. He squeezed her hand back, his voice calm and steady. Don't be afraid. About 10 minutes later, Captain Harris walked out, his face beaming. Mr. Sterling, miss. Lambert, just as you two predicted, the goods are intact. We have also arrested the entire criminal gang. The ringleader confessed that the person behind all this is Carter. We did it. Anna breathed a sigh of relief. But right at this moment, her phone rang frantically. It was Carter's number. She looked at Luke, who nodded. She answered the phone and turned on the speaker. Anna Lambert. Carter's frantic roar echoed from the other end of the line, mixed with the howling wind. It's you. You're the one who ruined me. That's right, it's me, she replied coldly. Do you think you've won? Ha ha ha. He laughed like a maniac. Come to the rooftop of Carter Corporation's building right now. Alone. Otherwise, you'll get to see what your best friend Diana looks like falling from the 35th floor. After saying that, he hung up. Diana? He kidnapped Diana? Even though she despised the woman, Anna couldn't just watch a human life disappear without blinking an eye. You stay here, I'll go there, she told Luke. Do you think I'd let you go alone? He furrowed his brows tightly and without a moment of hesitation, pulled her toward his car. I'm going with you. On the way to Carter Corporation, she called the police. When they arrived at the rooftop, the scene before them was terrifying. Carter had one hand tightly gripping a crying, struggling Diana. Both of them were standing right at the edge of the rooftop. Just one more step and they would fall. Let her go, Anna yelled. You're here. Carter smiled maliciously, his eyes full of madness. Anna Lambert, why did you treat me like this? I loved you so much. Why did you choose him? You don't love me. She looked straight at him. You only love my family's money. This sentence seemed to strike his very core. He screamed, Shut up! If I can't have you, then we'll all die together. Saying that, he suddenly shoved Diana forward. In that life-or-death moment, Luke lunged forward like a bolt of lightning, pulling Diana back just in time. At the same time, the police swarmed in from all sides. Carter, seeing no way out, climbed over the railing, intending to jump and commit suicide. But he didn't get the chance. Luke was even faster, lunging forward to pull him back with all his might, then pinning him to the ground. Carter was handcuffed and escorted away. Diana, as an accomplice, was also taken to the station. Everything was finally over. Anna walked over to Luke's side. He had just gone through a struggle, and there were scratches on his hands. But he didn't care at all. He only looked at her, his eyes full of worry. Are you okay? She shook her head, then suddenly threw herself into his arms, hugging him tightly. Luke, thank you. Thank you for loving me like this in both lifetimes. He hugged her back tightly. Silly girl. A week later, Carter Corporation declared bankruptcy. Carter and Diana faced the punishment of the law. Anna and Luke stood together on a yacht, watching the sunset over the sea. He suddenly took a velvet box out of his pocket and got down on one knee in front of her. Anna Lambert, he looked at her, his eyes as gentle as water. We missed out on the years that have passed. Starting from now, will you allow me to use the rest of my life to make it up to you, to love you? Marry me. Her tears fell. She nodded vigorously. I do. In her past life, she owed him a lifetime of tragedy. In this life, she would repay him with a lifetime of fulfillment. Luke, I finally have you. The days to come would definitely be spent together.
What a satisfying ending. This story proves that actions speak louder than promises. Cutting off toxic people isn't heartless, it's self-care. Always cherish those who quietly have your back.